Hello everyone, in this video we are going to discuss two thriller games played in the last round of the Aimchess Rapid Meltwater Champions Chess Tour. Total 16 number of participants are playing this tournament and top 8 are going to be selected. Then there would be knockout stages, quarterfinals, semifinals and finals. So we are going to discuss two thriller games, and these two games are fight for the 8th place between Vidit versus Anish. Either Vidit is going to qualify for the knockout stage or Anish is going to qualify for the knockout stage. Basically, what's happening is if we win against the opponent, we get 3 points. If we drew the game, we get 1 point, and if we lose, and we get 0. So Anish is basically having 20 points. Vidit is having 18 points. And Anish have beaten Vidit. So basically, if both the players, for example, if Anish drew and Vidit won, both the players would be having 21 points. But as Anish have beaten Vidit, Anish would get qualified, but Vidit would not. So basically, if Vidit wants to qualify, he need to win, and Anish have to lose if Vidit needs to qualify. Anish just needs the draw to win to get qualified. So basically, Vidit in the 15th round is playing with the white pieces against David Anton Guijarro versus the another game is Arjun playing with the white pieces against Anish Giri. So first we are going to discuss the game of Vidit versus David. So let's check it out. So Vidit is playing with the white pieces, higher rated than David. Starts out the game with 1e4, and David with the black pieces as solid replies with the Karukan. Knight f3. And guys, I must tell you that whenever Vidit is in a must-win situation, he always go for playing e4. If he's like, okay, let's play positionals, he goes for d4. But whenever he's in must-win situation, he always go for playing e4. c6, knight f3, d5, d3. So basically, it's a very good variation in the Karukan, against the Karukan, I would say. For example, if black takes, so you take, and it looks like queens have been traded, white have lost his castling rights. So at the first glance, it looks like black is perfect. Perhaps you have even equalized at the start of the game. But guys, in this particular variation, as you study deeply, I think I'm going to make a video on it because it's a very nice variation for white. Till the end, white is the one who is going to press. For example, if I just show you a basic line. For example, if bishop g4, pinning up the knight, you simply play bishop e3. For example, if it takes trying to develop the pawns on the f-file, but in the exchange, white got this bishop pair, which are like complete monsters. So basically, white is going to have a complete edge till the end of the game because he's having the white pieces leading the development. And as the queens have been traded, so castling doesn't really matter. He's going to play f3, king f2, c3, king c2. So that's the reason he played d3, because he all wanted to take it to the endgame. e6 by David, he wants to play as solid as possible. Knight to d2, knight to f6, g3, c5. So soon we have the King's Indian set up by Vidit. And here we have bishop g2. So I would say actually, like, if I take you to the exact same variation, but it is basically played in the French. Like, I play the French, I know that if e4, e6, there is a particular variation. In this particular variation, white have played g3. But in that game, after g3, he played c5. So basically, in this particular variation, it's white to move. But if you play the French, it's black to move. So basically, black loses a move in this particular variation. So it's good for white. Bishop to g2, knight to c6, short castle. So whenever if you are in a must-win situation, playing the King's Indian attack is a very good opening, I would say. I would recommend. Or playing the King's Indian defense as well. So basically, you play d3, e4, short castle, play g3, bishop g2, and stuff like that. So short castle, we have bishop to e7 by black. Rook e1, h6. So David do not want to castle short side so early because there is this e5 move, knight goes back, knight f1, and there is this h4 Knight h2, g4, g5. That is this very white basically attacks on the king side. So we have h6, waiting for move, and now c3, and now David decides to do a short cast. e5, with simply locking up the position, locking the center, and now knight h7 by black. I believe that knight d7 is the main move, putting pressure over here. But I think it's still fine. Knight h7 is still fine. a4, and I don't really get why Vidit actually played a4. Like after the game, he talked with Chess Base India Sagar Shah. He even told that he doesn't know why he played a4. He's like, he's playing on the queen side, he's playing on the king side, like total destruction of opening. Yeah. So he played a4, b6 by David, h4 now playing on the king side, f5, and now f5 is a very good move. The pawn have been on h4. If the pawn would have been on h2, f5 is not a big deal. But in this particular scenario, black is hoping for f4, which is a very big threat for white. So he's forced to and passing. Knight into f6, knight f1, bishop to d6, and after a couple of moves, I would say, like black only developed his minor pieces, that's all he needed to do, where white is basically rotating all his pieces, shuffling all his pieces. And after a couple of moves in this particular variation, in this particular position, black is having complete harmony of the pieces. I would say everything is perfect for black. I don't see any weaknesses for black. Whereas white is having too many weaknesses. The king side looks very painful. White pieces I think are not so well coordinated. So after queen g6, with it play knight f3, you see, just shuffling all the pieces. Rook e8, fine move. e5, and here David decides to take. I think at the place of playing rook h e8, playing e5 is also a fine move. Definitely, you are having a nice center. You can aim for the center to open up the center because all the pieces are developed. There would be no problems if you try to open up the center. But again, rook e8, now he's preparing to open up the center, but not a5 by Vidit. His last stop of playing. So I would already say that black is already better in this position completely. Knight into a5 and a b4. The only thing that Vidit can do. b4, and here we have cb4. I believe in this particular variation, he should have gone knight to c6, simply defending the pawn on a7. And for example, if b5, simply hitting the knight, you can play knight f5. And like, for example, if c4 trying to hit the knight, you can now play d4, knight goes back, and you can play e5. And after a couple of trades, you are now having e4, which is a very nice move by black. And I think black is having a very nice position. But he decides to capture, pawn takes, and now knight to b3. David actually gave Vidit the counterplay he required. He wanted a piece to infiltrate on the black's camp, so that's what happened. So knight into d2, capturing the bishop, queen into d2, bishop to b5, rook to b7, a very subtle move by Vidit, simply hitting the pawn on b6. So rook b8, and now takes. And now Vidit played a very nice move. So let's check it out. Will you able to find it or not? So feel free to pause the video and try to find the move played by Vidit. So for example, black is currently hitting the pawn on d2. So how are you going to respond in this particular position? You are in the Vidit's shoes. You are in a must-win situation. What will you play in this position? Okay, so I hope that you guys have definitely a deep thought, and perhaps you must have came up with the move knight to c4. At least you must have thought about it. So knight c4 is a very good move. All those have found it. Congratulations. You are expert in finding tactics. So knight to c4. What's happening is, for example, if pawn captures the knight, you capture the pawn, and in this particular variation, both the bishops are hanging. So white is going to get the pieces back, and also going to get some counterplay. For example, if let's take if pawn takes, white is having a very harmonious position, I would say. The knight is coming to e5. The black pawn structure is simply, I would say, very bad. The knight after coming to e5 is hitting simply the bishop and the queen. So I think white would be having a very harmonious position. But in the game after knight to c4, David captured the knight on c4 with the bishop, and here rook into d6. I think I should have let you guys try to find this move. It's a very good move actually. Rook into e6. So basically, what Vidit thought in the game is, if Vidit takes in this position, now knight to e4 is a very good move by black, and black is getting the counterplay. So I think it should be slightly better for black because of the knight, and e4 is on a very good square. But now rook into e6, a very good move. Still hitting the bishop and the bishop. You can't move the knight because your queen is hanging. So bishop into d3 was played in the game. Rook into d6. A very good move by rook into e6, I would say. Rook into d6. Bishop to c4. Queen to f4. And now you can see that slowly and steadily Wiz is getting the counterplay he requires. Because now there is a very idle square for the knight on e5. The queen looks absolutely weak. The right square bishop would be simply aiming at the d5 pawn. Black position is simply collapsing like this. Perhaps simply rook into f6 is a threat. Many threats are coming up. So we move the rook to e8 on an open file. Rook into b6 with it simply captured the pawn. He's also having the pass pawn now. King to h7. So basically, from a winning position, David lost all the control, and now perhaps he's on time and he's trying not to collapse. So he played something move like in h7, but simply bishop h3, and now white is simply going to play bishop f5, and the queen is hanging. So knight to h5 and queen f5. So basically what's happening is, if you try to capture the queen, knight into f4, you have to move the rook, and both the pieces are attacked, so you have to play bishop to d7. But basically it's the equal position, more like. Okay. But he found this amazing move, queen f5. Black is forced to trade the queens, or as the queen is hanging. So if queen takes, king move, bishop g6, and the one piece is going to be dead. And there are no checks of coming up because knight is covering the e1 square. And if you try to play rook f8, trying to hit the knight, bishop into h5, capturing a piece and also protecting the knight. That's why after queen f5 on the move number 33, Vidit won the game and David resigned the game. So a very fantastic game played by Vidit. A very nice recovery. So he got the 3 points he required, and he's having the 21 points. So Anish have to draw the game, or he can also win. So basically, the basic necessity is that Anish have to draw if he wants to qualify. So will he able to do it is a very big question. So we are going to find that question by looking at the game played between Arjun versus Anish. So let's check it out. So in the game between Arjun Eragasi versus Anish Giri, I have put Anish Giri playing with the black piece on our side because we know that he's in a must-draw position at least. So it's going to be very crucial to look at his game from our perspective. So Arjun with the white pieces starts out with 1d4. And Anish replied with knight to f6. Bishop to f4 by Arjun. So playing the London. So he could have gone c4. The queen's gambit. But bishop f4. Playing the London, which is too much positional line. So g5 by Anish. e3. c5. So basically what the scenario is, Arjun have already been qualified. Okay, so if Arjun even loses, he's not going to get anything. Like even if he wins, even if he loses, he's still fine. He have already been qualified. And David was already out of the tournament, so it doesn't matter even if he wins. So c5 by Anish. Knight to f3. Knight to c6. Knight to d2. Knight to h5. Like, you can also play queen b6 in this particular variation, but there is a good move for white in this particular variation. D into c5, and black is basically having two options. He can either go for capturing the pawn on b2 or c5. So if queen into b2, there is a very interesting line. Rook b1, queen c3, bishop to b5, and for example, if you capture the pawn, short castle, and white is having too much lead in development. Even c4 is coming up, so it's a very good position for white. Although engine can handle it, but still fine. So basically after d into c5, best is to capture the pawn on c5, but still I think c4 can come at a certain point of time, and that's the thing. But knight h5 by Anish, simply going for the main bishop on f4. Bishop e5, e6. You can also go for differently playing f6, I suppose. And after f6, there is a variation of c4, where if you try to capture, you are having cd, and after queen d, there is this bishop to c4. Hit the queen goes back, knight g5 is coming up. So everything, and now even the knight is hanging. So a very complicated variation. I think that's one of the reasons Anish didn't went for it. He simply played e6. c4 by Arjun, simply opening up the position. cd, queen into d5. Bishop to c4. And one interesting thing is, if Anish would have captured the pawn on e3, it's like if you take, I'll take this, knight into d2. Like it's a particular variation. What happens if black tries to capture the pawn? It's a very deep. Try to understand. D into c6, e into d2 check, knight into d2, knight is hanging. So black plays bishop to b4. You can't capture the knight because there is a checkmate hanging on d2. So the bishop moved to b5, threatening to capture the pawn and giving a check. Black simply castles. White castles. And now queen to d5, not capturing the knight. Hitting both the bishop on b5 and d5, e5. Here we have queen into h5, queen into b5, capturing the bishop because bishop is much important than the knight. Now queen to g5, threatening a mate in 1. So f6 is forced, pawn takes, queen takes, bishop takes, and now b into c6, and it's white is having the slide edge. Because so definitely black pawn structure is too bad. But in the exchange, black got the bishop pair. So it's a very complicated theory. So queen into d5. A very fine move. Bishop to c4. Queen goes back. ed. Bishop to e7. Queen e2. Simply developing the pieces. Short castles. And when at this particular point, the most natural move in this position is to short castle. White is safe. White is not playing for anything. White have already been qualified. Perhaps that's one of the reasons Arjun was like, let's do it. Long castle. And after long castle, one result is going to come. Either white is going to win, either black is going to win. If you play short castle, it's an absolutely fine move. The chances of draw is extremely high. Long castle, everything complicated. Bishop d7, king b1, a very good square for the king. Rook to c8, bishop to g3. Going back with the bishop, and here comes the b5 by black. Sorry about that. So yeah, b5. At the place of b5, and this particular variation after bishop g3, definitely capturing the bishop is extremely bad idea because of edge g3, and the rook is simply open. But black should have simply continued the game with a knight f6. Coming back with the knight, you are playing with the black pieces. You are extremely solid in this position. No weaknesses at all. You just need to draw. And black, you won't get it. It's better position for black. Because white is having the isolated pawn. White can definitely go for playing something like rook h e1. But nothing is happening because of knight f5. And black can slowly and steadily attack on the queen side. But Anish got a bit ambitious and he played b5. Definitely Arjun is going to take the pawn. Knight to b4. Bishop comes to c4. If you try to capture the bishop, it only allows black to infiltrate. So bishop goes back to c4. e5. And he's trying to open up the position too hard. In this position, he could have simply continued with bishop c6. Going for the d5 square. He can play slowly, but he got too ambitious. And he played e5. Knight e5, sacrificing again a pawn. Now the knight is hanging. Bishop check. That's what he thought. Bishop check. Knight came to e4 because that's the only square. Like if it goes here, Knight into a2 is a mate. You can capture the knight because the bishop is pinned. If you go here, knight c2 check in here, and knight into d4, and it's a check, you lose the queen. So knight to e4 is the fourth move, and now knight to f6. Double pressure, c3 is the fourth move to defend the knight, and now going to b6. Rook e1, knight to d5, and now Anish is going wrong actually. Bishop to b3 by Arjun, bad move. He should have played a3, a3 is a very good move, but practically speaking, pushing up the pawns on the queen side looks too risky because your opponent can, I don't know, your knight is attacked, so it doesn't make sense. Like if you try to move the knight, your bishop, your another knight is hanging. So basically, black can play rook f8, sacrifice the knight, and I think too risky position for him. Too risky. Yeah? Playing practically, it's too hard. That's the reason I didn't want to push the pawn, but he played simply bishop b3, trying to protect the queen side. Rook f6, a mind-blowing move by Anish. Mind-blowing move. If you capture the rook, you lose the queen. You cannot capture the knight. The knight is pinned by the bishop. After rook f6, Arjun again strike with a counter attack. Knight to d7, hitting the queen and the rook. Queen moved. Bishop into d5, capturing the pawn. And like we have rook f2. If you try to capture the bishop, knight into f2. The game is too complicated for me, even me to try to explain you guys. Like everything is collapsing, everything. And in the end, white is better. So queen f5 takes, and here rook to c2 by Anish. Fantastic move. Queen is hanging, and you can't really do anything. You actually have to capture the rook. Like for example, if you try to play something else, like moving the queen, you lose the bishop. Your attack is still incoming, so it's completely winning for black. This was the only move to keep the position equalized. Takes. Bishop into d7, capturing the pawn, capturing the knight. Bishop to b3. It's an equal position, and after a couple of moves, Anish tries to attack, defense. Takes. Bishop to d6. So in this position, white is slightly better. White is having, so basically against the queen, white is having bishop and the rook. Black is having 4 pawns. White is having 2 pawns more. So basically it's like 10 versus 9. And anything can happen in this position. Queen to b6. Bishop to c5 hitting the queen. Queen goes. Rook to e7. Bishop to e6, trying to trap the queen, trying to trap the rook, but nothing is happening actually. Bishop e6, offering a bishop trade. I think perhaps Anish simply missed a d5, advancing the pawn, hitting the bishop. Bishop move, pawn push, rook f8, e7, and on the move number 38, you won't believe, Anish resigned the game and Arjun won the game. d7 pawn is unstoppable to catch. Power of the 2 bishops in an open position is even stronger than the queen. It is a quote by someone I don't know. So rook e8 is a simply move. Even d8 is a winning move, and anything is winning. Vidit qualified, and he's not till the end. It was an epic thriller in the 15th round, basically in the final round of the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour. And now Anish is having the bad day, but definitely Vidit now is going to fight against Duda in the quarterfinals. Definitely Anish is absolutely sad after the game. He said in the interview that at the place of making strategies, like he only needs this much points to get forcefully qualify for the quarterfinals. Like he before playing the game, he's always checking up the results. Like he requires 1 point, 2 points. He just needs a draw to qualify. So he didn't play his best, I think. But fine, he's going to try next time to fight in the tournament, try to qualify in the quarterfinals. So I hope that you guys have liked both the analysis of the game of Vidit and Anish. If you did, then make sure to like the video, share this video with everyone, and if you are new to our channel, then make sure to subscribe to the channel because we are going to come up with these interesting videos like this. So till then, stay tuned and keep watching OneShot Chess.